Okay, so I got some tweets here. Sorry, I'm not really good at this recording stuff. I'm very new to it, and I'm really lazy. I could have done this properly. I could have done this correctly, but I'm just not gonna do that. See, like I just now got the video playing in the background, but we're gonna start off by reading this tweet here, and I get it. I really do. But this woman here, and she's pretty cool. You know, I follow her on the Twitter box. You know, she generally has some pretty decent opinions I can agree with, but she's pretty upset about the fact that that white lady that used the hard R gamer word on a little kid recently was really upset about just like a $2 pouch of like apple juice or whatever. I get it. I do. I get it that she's upset about that. It's, you know, a little frustrating. It's a little annoying. Like, they even show an example of someone posting about it from Rochester, Minnesota, where this took place, and they're disgusted because, oh, it's a poor, innocent, autistic child. And she has a legitimate grievance. You know, like, being upset about somebody reacting this way to just a 5-year-old acting like a 5-year-old. I get that. But I do respond to that. And I mentioned that it's almost true, but you've got to consider the context in which the event took place. She's one of millions of people constantly being victimized, and she stood up against it. You know, more people should have stood up by now, but most are not emotionally or mentally stable. Sorry, most are too emotionally or mentally stable. And what I mean by that is the average person is really not going to react this way, because we have too much to lose, and it's just inappropriate, right, to chimp out like that over a 5-year-old acting like a 5-year-old. I get it, I do. But then we move on to next tweet, show tweets. So the exchange continues. And then I mentioned that I personally, I took a stand when I was in school, and I took a stand in the workplace. I didn't chimp out on a 5-year-old and use the hard R gamer word on them and make a spectacle of myself on social media, but I do actually stand up against this kind of stuff. And I even mentioned at some point in this thread that, you know, I'm a white passing Hispanic Latino. That caused me a lot of grief being from the Detroit area. Oh, yep, there it is right there. Yeah. And I do mention that I use more polite language, of course, and I said, as a white passing Latino, I've been constantly abused and dragged through the mud. And I get it. Like, it's hard for some people to really understand just how bad it can be for the working poor whites. Maybe she hasn't seen it, maybe she doesn't get it. But man, it was rough when I was a kid. I mean, I wasn't even allowed in an accelerated learning program because of my skin color. Like, my only friend in elementary school got to go because he was black, and I couldn't go because I wasn't black. I was told white people don't need any additional help. That's how bad it got, right? That was as I was a kid. Imagine how much worse it got as an adult. And it did get worse as an adult. Hell, that's part of why I lost my job back in 2024. Because, you know, I had one employee that was black and he could get away with whatever he wanted, and I get in trouble the first time I violate policy by standing up against, you know, Marxism in the workplace. But that's neither here nor there. But she says, this will have negative consequences for white voters in the upcoming elections. How? Well, the white population is decreasing in the U.S., and your allies, including black Trump supporters, predominantly black Trump supporters, will see whites condoning this behavior, which is a purely racial argument. All of the black people I know that aren't okay with the current state of black culture and black supremacy aren't going to suddenly change their tune just because people were celebrating a white lady being racist on the internet, especially considering that the people they tend to make company with aren't like that white lady saying the gamer word to a 5-year-old, you know? But she doesn't really understand that. She further elaborates by saying, and they will lose support. This is a child that was hurled a racial slur over fucking applesauce pouch. Oh, sorry, it was applesauce, not apple juice. Where am I at? Oh, yeah. If your side is protecting this woman, congratulations. The right will lose in the upcoming elections over some cheap snack. But I don't really like to look at it from the perspective of right and left. It's more of populism versus, you know, elite totalitarianism. It's a bit ridiculous to only frame it from the perspective of, race. So when we go to this last part, she says that she will vote against the woke right. And of course, we were talking past each other. I don't think she responded to any of my tweets. And I like that one. Woke right is a real thing. It's an academic-rooted term that James Lindsay didn't just make up out of thin air because he's engaging in sophistry. A lot of people genuinely just don't understand the history of the terminology. I get it. It's offensive to a lot of people. They don't like to hear it. But I said, we've got to remember that without... I'm tired. But we got to remember, without compassion and understanding, these people in the middle will side with those that provide them succor, no matter the eventual outcome. Because, you see it all the time. More and more we're getting unironic neo-Nazis, and a big part of it is because people are pushing them into the arms of unironic neo-Nazis when you deny, the things that the Israeli government does, or some prominent and powerful wealthy Jewish people do. When you deny those things, you're just convincing people, maybe it's the Jews people are right about everything, because at least it's the Jews people are willing to admit, to something they actually see when they're seeing it. But, pushing these uninformed, angry people further into the arms of the woke right won't help. And it won't. You're just going to make problems worse by telling people that they need to get bent, they need to kick rocks, and they need to just lie down and take it. They're not happy about that. Nobody's happy about having to live like that. It's miserable, it's terrible, and telling people that they need to live that way is genuinely not okay. It's going to create the problem that you're warning others is going to be the eventual outcome. When you go out of your way to shame and blame the people who are just angry and don't understand these problems and don't understand the wider context of what's going on in the world, you're just going to make it easier for other people to take advantage of those people that don't understand. And it sucks to see that happen. I wish that we could take a more nuanced approach to this and help the people that are kind of trapped in the middle, that see that there's something wrong and are upset about it. But a lot of people just don't want to. You either get the unironic neo-Nazis on one side, and then you get these people that don't want to be with the unironic neo-Nazis for obvious reasons, and you're just pushing regular working class and poor people into the arms of those people that you think are just so horrible. It's not me defending them that's emboldening them. It's you refusing to understand their grievance and the experiences that they've been having their entire lives. Because it's not just as simple as, they've had to deal with black culture just like us Asians have. Because she does mention that somewhere in one of those tweets that, Asians have been victims of, black culture for so long, and we don't act like this. I get it, but most white people don't even act like that. They really don't. And us Hispanic Latinos that have lighter skin, hell, even the ones with darker skin, we don't usually do this kind of stuff. Most people normally don't. They have too much to lose. They have too much self-control. There's generally nothing productive to be gained by dropping the hard R gamer word on a child like that. I get it. It's just really important that more of us take the time to really understand what these people are going through so that we don't push them into more extreme positions. So we don't push them to become more angry and more hateful to the point where, to the point where they do get this critical race consciousness that some people really want them to have. And in the long run, that's what the Marxists and the woke left have been trying to get us to do for the longest time. It's been mid-level provocation for years and years. It just hasn't stopped. And I'm actually pretty proud of those blind shots, and I really fucked up this read, because obviously the guy might be invisible, but he can still see where I'm going, duh. So, sorry for fucking up my gameplay. I get it, I'm pretty good at this, but I'm not the best. I admit that. I'm gonna get some water in my life. And I get that maybe this off-the-cuff recording style probably doesn't work for most people, and it just makes me seem more stupid and less interesting, and you probably don't really care. You actually probably care less now that you've seen how professional and lazy I can be when I do these things. But I do want you to, in the same way I want you to understand the perspective of these angry poor whites want you to understand, I do this for a hobby. I do this for fun. I'm not a professional. This is something I do. I pay money to do this, okay? Like, I bought a VTuber model, like, 2 years ago to stream to an audience of literally nobody. Hell, I still consistently get, like, 0 viewers. I think the most viewers I had was 8. Come on. But getting back to the real crux of what this was all about, was that I don't fundamentally disagree with this woman that the behavior of that woman in the video screaming the hard R gamer word was, like, correct. But I do recognize that she was doing a morally good thing by standing up against tyranny, by pushing back against abuse, and trying, in what little capacity she has, to do something, rather than just lay down and be a victim forever. And I guess that's it.